Let's make our way to a Japanese style seat. Hands rest in your lap. And let's reach the arms above the head, stretching out the spine, and then bring the hands to the heart space as you breathe out. 2 more times. Now on your next exhale, let's side bend to the right. Right hand comes down on the mat, and you can bend the elbow if you want to go a little bit deeper. And coming back through center as you breathe in, and then side bending off to the left. Now let's bring the hands on the knees for some seated cat and cows. Inhaling as you pull the chest forward, gaze up. Exhaling as you round the spine and lean back. And breathing in, pulling the chest through. Exhaling to hollow the lower belly and try to separate those shoulder blades away from each other. A few more rounds here at your own pace. Now warming up the neck, let's bring the right ear down to the right shoulder and move into some half circles, making sure to keep pulling the shoulders back and down. And if it feels good for your neck, you can continue to move in full circles, just making sure that you are lengthening the neck at all times. And of course, switch directions. Now to warm up the shoulders, let's bring the hands on the shoulders and then create really big circles with your elbows, drawing an imaginary line in front of you, reaching the elbows up, back, and down. Now bringing the hands in front of you, let's warm up those wrists. Let's open and close the hands as fast as possible. Do the same thing, reach the arms above the head. And then out to the side, should start to burn here, out in front of you. And one last time above the head, and release. Make our way onto the back for hollow holds. First, keeping the feet on the floor, slowly lower yourself until you're almost down to the mat, and let's hold. And squeezing navel in. Maybe go a little bit closer to the floor. And then let's come all the way back up. Heading pretty much immediately into round 2. We're going to lower our way down, and you can either do exactly the same thing we just did or add the legs, extending them forward. If you want to make it even harder, you can also reach the arms above the head. Just make sure the middle back stays grounded here. And slowly let's make our way back up. Just taking a tiny little rest here. We're not done. All right, making our way back into low boat. We're going to do a few rounds of low to high boat. Inhaling, tucking the knees into the chest, and then low boat as you exhale. Go at your own pace. If it's faster or slower than what I'm doing, that is fine. If you want to make it harder, keep the legs straight and reach the arms above the head as you go down. Good, and let's end with a tuck hold. Bring the knees into the shoulders. Hold it here. You should be shaking. And let's release. Knocking the knees side to side always feels really good to release the lower back and hips. And get ready. We're just going to repeat that last one more time. High to low boats. Let's go. And ending off with that tuck, squeeze, 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 squeeze. And release. You can slowly start to make your way to downward facing dog. We're going to move into plank weight shifts and shoulder shrugs. From down dog, move your weight forward into a high plank, shoulders over wrists, and then pull the weight back and up. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Adding an optional chaturanga through upward facing dog or cobra, back to downward facing dog. Now let's make our way into tabletop, dropping the knees down on the mat, and we're going to shrug the shoulders. So bringing the weight down and a little forward and then pressing the mat away, rounding the upper back. So dropping the shoulders and then lifting, pushing the mat away. Now same thing, but in plank pose, and if it's too hard, you can stay in tabletop. Shrugging the shoulders, bringing the chest down and a little forward, and then pressing it back and up. And back to downward facing dog. Good job. Let's make our way to the top of the mat, standing for a few rounds of sun salutation, really thinking of handstand. So reaching the arms up, shoulders up to the ears, tuck the tailbone, hold it there. Exhaling with a flat back, fold forward. Breathing in, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step back, high plank. Move through chaturanga, bending the elbows, lowering halfway. Through upward facing dog, and then back to downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here, and then let's come high on the toes, bend the knees, step or jump. Halfway lift, think of length. Exhale to fold. High mountain, reaching the arms above the head, again holding this position, thinking of a handstand, shoulders up to the ears. Exhale with a flat back, fold forward. Halfway lift. Plant the hands, step back, high plank. Option 2, come through chaturanga. Again, if this is too hard, you can drop the knees, of course, making your way back to down dog. Let's come high on the toes, look between the hands. Remember, the body follows where the gaze follows. Step or hop to the top of the mat. And then inhale, back up to high mountain. We're going to do one more round. Exhale, let's fold forward. Breathe in, halfway lift. And here I'm just going to demonstrate the slightly easier version with the knees down on the mat. You can always do whatever variation suits you best, depending on how tired you feel on a given day or on what's accessible to you. Making our way back to the top of the mat one last time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. High mountain, reach the arms up. Imagine you want to touch the ceiling. And then exhale, hands to the heart. For this next exercise, we're going to make our way down to a seat, extending the legs in front of you. Let's reach the arms above the head and then fold forward. Now let's think of cat and cow, rounding the spine and then reaching the chest and arms forward. Breathing in as you reach, breathing out as you round. As best as you can, try to activate your lower back, really rotating the pelvis. Now let's bring both hands on either sides of the legs, and we're going to lift the legs, compressing thighs to stomach, starting with the right. Lift as high as you can. If it's too hard, you can bring your hands towards your hips or even behind you. And then left leg. And both legs, just for that extra challenge. If this is too hard, you can do one leg at a time. And then a nice juicy forward fold. Deep breath in, lengthen your spine, and try to keep that length as you fold over the legs. And you do not have to be lying over your legs. Hands can be on the shins, the chest can be lifted. Just keep thinking of length. Of course, you can also bend the knees. Slowly, let's make our way back up. And the next shape we are going into is straddle. So staying on our seat, just separating the legs very wide apart. Let's start by compressing that right leg. So both hands go around the right leg. Let's lift it just as high as you can. And then switch to the left, both hands around the left leg. And now let's do both legs together, both hands in between the legs. And again, if this is too hard, you can just do one leg at a time. That's completely fine. And let's fold forward, flexing the toes. Again, thinking of that length, walking your hands forward. Maybe you stay up on the hands, maybe you come down on the elbows, maybe you bring the belly down to the mat and reach the arms forward. There are so many different options here. Wherever you are, let's make our way out of the shape slowly and mindfully, bringing the legs together with the help of the hands. And I will see you in the next class.